I have a letter here that's so touching. Let me read it to you. A lot of people get themselves into this kind of mess. Just listen to this. Here's a guy writing a very, very nice letter. Dearest Pastor, I would like to say that I love you. Thank you for that. And you are a living testimony. And it says, I am a young and gentle looking boy in my early 20s. Almost 5 years ago, ever before I gave my life to Christ, I met a young, pretty lady in my area. We had a talk. And that talk, you remember? We had a talk and we became friends. After a while, the relationship went beyond friendship level. This time around, a lovely one, so to speak. I know her friends and she knows mine too. And my friends also know her friends. All right. We do things in common and we also share several personality traits too. Our relationship has become a living example of perfect love in my area and to them that come in contact with us. Woo! Wow, isn't this wonderful? Just in his 20s. Isn't it wonderful? And he has a perfect relationship. You don't know anything yet. Come on now, just listen. This is a beautiful letter, I tell you. Sincerely, I know quite sure that she really cares for me, and so do I. On my birthdays, she would send me gifts worth thousands of naira. Relax, isn't that possible? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Some of you just sent some gifts to, you just did that too for somebody's birthday. Nothing wrong with that. What, some thousands? They didn't say hundreds of thousands, just some thousands. Could be 2,000, could be 3. That's not too much for somebody you love. On my birthdays, she would send me gifts worth thousands of naira. When I was in school, this same lady would send cash and lots of love and success cards to me. Not only would she send money and cards to me, she also would come, but once in a blue moon, to my school far away, and he tells me where the school is here, so I'm not going to mention that, okay? Something. In fact, we've gone as far as taking a solemn... Now, I'm going to say something about this. We've gone as far as taking a solemn promise. Taking a solemn promise with the Holy Bible that we are not going to disappoint each other. Come on now. See, why don't I finish reading it? I'll skip some parts here. Ever since I gave my life to Christ, he says this was 5 years ago he met her. Okay? He gave his life to Christ maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, something close to that. Well, ever since I gave my life to Christ, I have put an end to certain things that are contrary to the will of God. But this one thing I do always is sexual relations. How come the guy, he put away all the little ones and kept the big one? All right. Most of the time, she convinces me by saying that after all, we are husband and wife to be in the future. See that? That lady would convince him to go to bed with her. She's not quite born again. In part of the area that I skipped, she's not really born again. He got born again. Well, even if she was born again and she's asking for sex, can you imagine that? She's not even married. Oh. Most of the time she convinces convinces me by saying that after all, we are husband and wife to be in future. It later dawned on me that I'm still working in darkness by doing this. So I decided to call the relationship off. That was the wisest thing to do. Hooray for you! Some few weeks ago, I called on her and told her all that I had in mind. Oh my goodness. She could not believe her ears. She couldn't stand it. She started weeping so bitterly, and it got to a point I could not stand it as well. And I told her that I never meant to hurt her, but she should try and understand from the biblical point of view. For minutes, she could not say a single word. She was just looking at me with uncontrollable tears rolling down her cheeks. She later left. Thank God I'm free, I said to myself, hoping she has come to understand. No sooner than she left that I started receiving calls from her friends and my friends, as well as relations and even neighbors, saying that they were so disappointed and that they never knew that I could betray her. I tried to explain, but they would not listen. For they said she is tender-hearted, reserved, loving, and trustworthy. Pastor, please help me out, because I'm really disturbed. Again, I'm really scared of the oath we had earlier taken. Now, I probably will address one or two other things in this letter Sunday. Oh no, Sunday, Super Sunday. All right. We have a more super letter to address on Sunday. That's the letter God wrote to us, okay? So we'll address that on Sunday, and then next week we look again at this. But there's a point I would like to look at here. He says they used the Bible. In a sense, one can say that they swore to each other. They made an oath. They took an oath here to each other with the Holy Bible, okay? Trying to make it very, very, Now, let me say this to you, all you brothers. No matter how a lady swears to you, no matter how full the cup of blood with which she is swearing to you that she will be your wife, forget it. It's as much as saying, twinkle, twinkle, little star. You know what I'm trying to say? It holds no water. Doesn't make any difference, because she doesn't have a right to do that. I mean, Pastor Ray here could make a promise to you that he's going to give you my suit. Hey, don't believe him because he can't do it. It belongs to me. He can only do that when it belongs to him. Can you see that? The lady always is given in marriage. She cannot give herself in marriage. It's never done that way. She cannot make a promise to you that will work. You might as well forget it. Because it's not recognized by God. Are you still there? Now, I want to read something to you from the Old Testament. And the very fact that in the New Testament it still talks about marrying and giving in marriage, it shows us that it's the same principle today. Now let me read it to you from the book of Numbers in chapter number 30. Numbers chapter 30, and I am reading from verse 1 so you can understand it. Are you there now? Say yeah. And Moses spoke unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. If a man should vow a vow, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeded out of his mouth. Did you hear that? Who is he talking to? The man. All right, verse 3. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, even unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow. If her father should hear her vow, like when we call them forward, and then they make their vows, each to the other, in the presence of the congregation and in the presence of the man who says he is the one that is giving her in marriage. When she makes that vow and the man hears her make that vow to the man and he doesn't stop her, that vow stays. That's what it's saying here. And her father, let's read again from verse 3. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow, and her bond wherewith she hath bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her, then all her vows shall stand. And every bond wherewith she had bound her soul shall stand. Because her father was there when she said it, and he didn't stop her. So it will stand because it implies that he agreed with her. Okay? Now, verse 5. But if her father disallow her in the day that he heareth it. In other words, if he was not there at the time and later on he got to hear it. Look at it. If her father disallow her in the day that he heareth, not any of her vows or of her bonds wherewith she had bound her soul shall stand. And the Lord shall forgive her because her father disallowed her. And if she had at all an husband, see, if she had an husband, the same thing goes. Now, what am I saying? The woman always is under authority, either to her father or to her husband. So if she's making a promise to you, oh, I'm going to marry you, oh, I'm all yours, ooh, I'm all yours. Now, don't you believe her, because that thing doesn't hold any water. She can't do it. She doesn't have a right to do it. That's what God is telling you. She doesn't have a right to do it. She can't do it. And brother, if you're here, you wrote this letter, I want to tell you, you are free from that root. You're just free. I mean, I don't have to pray about it. I can tell you, I'm your pastor, I can tell you, you're free from that root. See? So there's some of you here, maybe you made a covenant with somebody, you said you were going to marry him, and now you've changed your mind. I'm here to tell you, that covenant is broken with immediate effect. And if you're here, you don't like to break it because you like the guy, I decree and declare it is broken. Because you didn't have a right to do it. This is the New Testament. Your pastor has that right that papa has there. He sure does. Hello? My time is up. Glory to God.